I think Joel welcomes the challenge. I mean, I think that Joel is also tired of coming in second to to Jokic's MVP for the last 2 years. I mean, obviously at this point, they're not rivals or anything like that. They don't hate each other. They always compliment each other and say that they're incredible, formidable opponents, and obviously the 76ers and the Nuggets. But I know that Embiid plays with that chip on his shoulder as well. Like I know he's thinking like, damn, this is the guy that beats me every time. This is the guy. This is the reason why I don't have an MVP. This is the guy that is always in my way to at least get some kind of accolade. And he takes it personally. I know that Joel Embiid is also tired of losing in general, and the 76ers are climbing up the standings in the Eastern Conference. But let's not forget that Denver played very well in that first half. And there were a multitude of instances where Denver led by double digits. And Philly clawed their way back, and their defense held it together as well. I mean, they found a way to turn it around in that second half, and Philly scored 38 in the third and 30 in the fourth. And they found a way to limit Denver to 46 points in the second half. So, I mean, when you talk about that, that's a massive swing. 48, what is that? 46, and then then Philly scored 68. They almost dropped 20 more points on them in that next quarter or that next half. So, Philly came out to play. They played efficient as well. I mean, when you're looking at the stat line, of course, they shot 51% from the field and they also shot 51% from three. They were efficient, to say the least. And everybody was able to contribute. Obviously, you get 14 from Tobias Harris, 47 from Embiid, 17 from Harden, 13 from Melton, 14 from Nang, 13 from Maxey. That is how you win. You got to feed your big. You got to find a way to get him involved early. Obviously, Joel shoots over 50% from the field here at 18 of 31, 4 of 7 from 3. And he also goes out there and gets you 18 boards. Joel Embiid did everything he needed to do in order to carry this team to victory and come back from a very large deficit, again, from a multitude of times. And he was able to do it on both ends also. 3 steals, 2 blocks. Can't really ask much more from your big guy, man. When he goes out there and he's just making Jokić look silly. I mean, he had a step back dagger 3 over Jokić in the final minute. And it was just kind of crazy to watch that because I was actually watching that game live while my boys were here for the weekend. And that game was on, and we were just kind of watching. We were like, damn, Denver's going to run away with this. Philly claws their way back. Before you know it, I turn the TV back on, or I look over, and I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? Wasn't Denver just up like 15 points? And Philadelphia comes out on top, and they win by 7. Not to take away from Jokić, but Jokić kind of got locked up a little bit in that third and fourth quarter. And not locked up. His life was made difficult by PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker is not a scorer by any means. PJ Tucker is not someone that's going to give you 15 points or shoot efficiently or get a lot of assists. But he is going to be someone that is going to pester the best player on a regular basis. And he was matched up with Jokić a lot of times, which made Jokić have to pass out or, he didn't want to put himself in a position where he was going to get himself into foul trouble or anything like that. And again, Jokić seemed to hesitate for whatever reason in that second half whenever PJ Tucker was on him. So PJ does his job. Jokić obviously still puts out a great game. I mean, he had 24, 9, and 8. Again, just the fact that your starting center got more assists than the combination of your 2 starting guards is just ridiculous. But once again, here we are. So overall, what a game, what a show, and I love the fact that Joel Embiid kind of like jabbed at Ben Simmons at the end of it in his post-game conference. He said, I think we're long overdue for a win, and these guys keep me going and yada yada. I'm paraphrasing, and then I think he said something along the lines of, as long as nobody fakes an injury, we're fine. And I was like, bro, this man's so petty. And that's what Kyle was saying. He's got a different kind of feel to him. He may not be as intense on the court as Giannis, but he's got his ways to go about carrying himself. I just thought that was funny as hell. But overall, man, that was a great game to watch.
You know, Kev, my mind kind of wanders here. I imagine when Doc Rivers was going over the game plan going into this game, I imagine this is a scenario where it's like, look, we got Joel Embiid going up against Nikola Jokić. And I imagine Doc knows what Joel's capable of. Everybody knows what he's capable of. And I think there was a point of emphasis. It's like, look, we don't get these one-on-one matchups where you got Joel going up against
It's
Nikola
head to
very
head. Yeah.
often. Yeah, they're very rare, especially with both teams being out of conference. And the fact that Joel dominated the game in this manner. And not only that, hit some critical shots that pretty much iced it at the end. Bro, that's really a testament to what Joel can do essentially on a night in, night out basis. And, when it comes to Joel is always going to have a chip on his shoulder. And he's not afraid to back down from any sort of challenge. And look, going up against Nikola Jokić and the Denver Nuggets, that is no easy challenge because even as we sit here right now, Denver's still sitting in first place in the Western Conference. They're one of the best teams in the NBA this year. And at points throughout that game, they definitely showed what type of team that they are. But the fact that Philly showed that they could withstand the pressure and that they could show a little bit, they could kind of work their way through the adversity of the game. And the fact that Joel was able to effectively lead them, not only to tie the game, to come back from the deficit that they were in, but to eventually take the lead. And then for him to knock down essentially some critical shots that would win the game for them. It's got to feel pretty good, especially going up against a team like the Nuggets. And, I'm not going to get into any sort of discussion about maybe this is something that we could see in an NBA Finals matchup. It's way too premature to say that. But, as we sit here right now, I mean, when you get these matchups of the number 1 seed in the Western Conference go up against a number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, I mean, you just kind of live for these moments. And the fact that Joel was able to step up in that manner and drop you 47 points, 3 away from 50, and then damn near put up 20 points in the process against an MVP candidate and the 2-time reigning MVP in Nikola Jokić, and essentially keep Jokić to a relatively pedestrian night. That's a good look on Joel moving forward. And I know we just talked about Giannis being in that MVP discussion alongside Jokić. I mean, Embiid is right there with him as far as I see it. And look, we still have a couple months until we reach the playoffs, so there's plenty of opportunities for these guys to essentially jockey for position to get that MVP along their side. But I have to say, in this one-on-one matchup between Jokić and Embiid definitely got the better of Jokić. And, maybe this is one of those games where it sets Philly on a little bit of a kick here. Maybe they set up for a nice little winning streak where they get some momentum from a game like this where they were able to beat not only one of the best teams in the NBA, but potentially the best team in the NBA as far as I see it. So, great game from Joel. I know what he's capable of. I think everybody knows what he's capable of, and the guy could bring it on a night in, night out basis. But to do it against Jokić, there was a little bit of an extra challenge there. He rose to the occasion, and he executed. I'm not going to say to perfection, but he executed at a very high level, and that's something to be commended as far as I see it. And good on Joel. Honestly, I'll just leave it at that.